And Jack, it's a pleasure to get you on. I wish it was under better circumstances for a lot of our kids, but looking at the results of that new report, I mean, some of the numbers are pretty stunning. 58% of teachers are concerned that their kids will have increased social or emotional well-being issues going on into the fall. What else do you think should be some of the key headlines coming out of that latest report?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Brian. I think, the key thing as we go back to the classroom is going back to the classroom. The stress and strain that students, and for that matter, teachers and the entire educational community has experienced are the result of a year and a half of some combination of remote learning, hybrid learning, on-site learning, and it has taken a social emotional toll on students. And 86% of teachers believe that we need to integrate whole child development into the classroom, not just focus on their intellectual development, but their social development as well. And that 86% believe we need to incorporate social emotional learning strategies into the instruction to ensure we can get kids back on track.
Of course, in the past years, we all know we had to adapt. Teachers, schools, everybody had to adapt very quickly. Kids had to adapt. We had to learn how to either learn all online or some sort of a hybrid. There's a group in New York City which is saying we need to go back to a virtual option. We don't know if other schools will or school districts might do the same as well, Jack. What did we learn from technology? And what do you think maybe even just the first few months of this school year are going to look like in some of the areas or the country's biggest school districts?
Yeah, well, I think one of the things that we've learned is that on average, the average student is 5 months behind in math and 4 months behind in reading. And it's important, the social gathering that is the classroom, returning to the classroom where a teacher is going to conduct a whole class discussion, where students are going to pair up to do a math problem, where a group of kids are going to work on a science experiment together. That kind of intellectual and social, what I would call high touch development, is incredibly important. And so what we've learned about technology is, a year and a half ago, teachers were kind of thrown into the deep end. They went from teaching in their classroom to teaching from their kitchen table. And they went from being technology hesitant to technology proficient very quickly. And so we've invested very heavily in technology infrastructure over the last year and a half. And so I think what we're entering into now is a new high-touch, high-tech era where we're combining the best of that social gathering with technology that can really identify where students are on their learning journey, what they know, what they're ready to learn next. So it's that kind of complementary capability of the classroom, along with every student being outfitted with a Chromebook or an iPad.
And Jack, we know that the last stimulus plan allocated about $130 billion to schools and school districts. That money being paid out, starts to be paid out really this year, goes through 2028. Proposals in some cases are due, I think, at the end of 2023. Either way, school districts are now thinking about how they're going to spend that money. Do you think a lot of that is going to end up going to companies like yours and technology?
Yeah, no, I think definitely there's multiple needs out there. One is just stability of funding. And so I think overall, the American Rescue Plan in March, as you point out, Brian, is $130 billion that's going to K-12 school districts. That's important. Prior to that, with the ESSER 1 and ESSER 2 funding for K-12, there was $70 billion in funding. That's important as well. So it's going to ventilation systems, it's going to infrastructure, but it is going to bandwidth, it is going to devices, as well as intervention programs like ours that are going to address the needs that kids have returning back to the classroom with pretty significant learning loss, and using AI-based adaptive programs that are going to help find kids where they are and advance their learning is going to be an important part of the use of those funds.